Yeah, like I said, I love hearing the pieces in the conversation, and I was gonna tell you, I love stories like that trick us into thinking it's like a really small story, and then at the end they're like, got you, this is a really big story. I love those. So I want to start by saying thank you to Stephen and all the LPR staff and volunteers, to all my fellow readers today, and to the Writers Center for hosting events like this. I'm going to read a very short piece of prose from the book, and then I'm going to go into some of my new stuff. So the book, At a Step, it's about me, a young, queer, punk rock, anti-war kid who then joined the Army during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and as two wars were starting. It won a big award for bisexual nonfiction, and I'm just going to read a brief piece because it's big, right? It's a award. I'm really excited. I'm really proud of it. But I've also been reading from this book for like 13 months, right? So I'm ready to also read something new. So I'm going to move to my new work. This is from the very, very start of the book. And the title of the first piece is Marks. Marx as in markings, not as in the communist philosopher. I grew up with the same mythologies as other dumb American boys. Yet when I picture a statue of David, I do not imagine Michelangelo's 17-foot-tall marble masterpiece. The milky figure is a breathtaking study in masculine form, but the sculpted nude has never seemed to fit my image of the young David who left tending his father's sheep and faced the warrior Goliath. He's too beautiful, too fully formed. This David is not the youngest child of Saul. This David is a young man, a college quarterback, an Olympic swimmer. Now, Donatello's David, that's my David. Donatello gives us an effeminate and delicate boy, hand on his hip like some bratty bottom. He is shown just after battle, Goliath's severed head at his feet, beard exfoliating David's toes. But it's easy to see that this sculpture shows a boy at the brink. Rather than Christ-like abs, the bronze David wears a boyish paunch and effeminate hips. His body appears soft, his demeanor gentle and shy. He seems nymphic, right leg tilted almost coquettishly. One of the wings from Goliath's great helmet creeps up the back of David's leg, stopping just shy of where the curve of his backside meets his thighs. The whole scene seems so boyish and queer that even art historians recognize its homoerotic qualities. This unmarked body, not yet sculpted by hardship, a girlish boy mixed up in someone else's war by folly and by childish pride, that's my David. I'd like to say that I joined the military unmarked, that I arrived at the military entrance processing station, a multi-purpose facility that acts as everything from clinic for physical exams to administrative offices for processing those entering the military, as young and as pure as a Renaissance bronze. Yet the truth of my enlistment is that the physician inspecting my young body with latex gloves missed neither the tiny scar on my forehead, where I'd fallen from the top bunk onto a Tonka truck as a child, nor the dime-sized Mongolian blue spot decorating my butt. Still, aside from these minor blemishes, my young, soft body raised a hand and swore the oath of enlistment without any real damage at 18 years. And then the essay goes on to talk about all the marks, whether it's tattoos or physical scars or emotional scars that the military left on me. I'm also going to read some of my poetry. I have been working on a manuscript of poems that are about the end of the world, but not like sci-fi stuff, more like what it feels like right now, right? With a nightmare in the White House and climate change, an inescapable fact of life, and a giant, gyre of plastic trash in the Pacific Ocean and all that sort of stuff, right? So all these poems are titled You Cannot Save Here, which is also the name of the manuscript. This first piece is forthcoming in just 2 days from a magazine called Hobart. And it refers to a painting, one of Goya's Black paintings. You Cannot Save Here. Morning gets angry and destroys a city. Not New York, too obvious, but suppose it's on the coast. Suppose we're the first to go. I picture Goya's Colossus and my empathy runs threadbare. Suppose I notice the raw meat of his back and fall in love. Suppose there are too few Armageddon songs about giants. The Norse, I suppose, and Nephilim. Okay, fine. So suppose what I want are more movies. Colossus, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We'd see it in dim theaters, giant screen, and afterward, step into the parking garage's echo and oil slick, a perspective behind concrete and absence of concrete. Brutalist framing for the aftermath of mourning or giant or indifference, our skyline swapped with fields of dandelion left unattended. This is also You Cannot Save Here, and it's after Rukeyser and Mann. That's Muriel Rukeyser, the 70s feminist poet, and Amy Mann, the 90s singer-songwriter. There's a line that I borrow from Muriel Rukeyser, and I'll raise my hand when I'm reading her words. Don't look up from the text when the water laps at the sill like polite Pisidian missionary. Remember, the only gospel our parents lost decades gave us was learning to love the despised backside of houses. And what mark will the city herself leave when she retreats? A variegated bloom, a morning after bruise. What I'm asking is, how long can I sit here, save me, playing as the carpets drink up the end? What I'm saying is, come read Rukeyser with me until the lights flicker out. And this is the last piece I'm going to read. It's also called You Cannot Save Here. The 700th day of the end, I don't do anything. Let my circadian rhythm slip loose by rising with the midday hum of lunch, rush, bustle outside city window, sweater weather in December suggesting the end continues to sputter along slowly enough we don't panic at its approach. I roll myself out of plush nest and pour an afternoon coffee as winter spills the golden hour early, and I spring myself into evening, then night, then the hours when even the moon puts her phone away, when I'm feeling like the only person left on a broken planet. Sometimes I keep the lights out, stand in the center of carpeted blue rooms during the witching hour, wonder what I'm doing with myself. And it's not that we are wrong about it all coming down, it's that we've gotten used to it. No sudden flood, no final kiss, just a slow goodbye of ice in a sweating rocks glass. Here, then less here, then not here. Thank you.